on a morning, and see, we'll keep it on this shelf here because that's where the fire would be in there, and that's it won't be quite glowing red hot, but it will keep it warm. Yep, so steam engine. Behind us there's the tender. Now that on a morning would be filled with 9 tons of coal right up to the top. But what you can't see is the back sort of slopes. It almost divides the tender into two. And underneath the sloping sides is a huge water tank, 4,000 gallons. Because yes, you need a lot of coal to boil the water to make the steam, but you also need a lot of water as well to make the steam. So yeah, so the fireman had his shovel here, and it was a case of shoveling the coal from there into the fire. A few more shovelfuls just to keep the steam pressure up to 225 pounds per square inch of steam pressure, which is about 15 times your average air pressure, normal air pressure. So it needed quite a lot of steam pressure just to drive the engine. This is a simple picture we've got for showing the school kids that we had up earlier on. So yeah, so the fire's there in the firebox, that whole floor in there covered with coal, all burning red hot, or maybe white hot, because there's about 1,000 degrees in there. And that would boil the water, turn the wheel, and the steam would go down to these pistons at the front of the engine to push the pistons backwards and forwards. That pushes the big connecting rod to one of the wheels to turn it. Each wheel, which of the 3 big driving wheels, are connected together along another connecting rod. So as that one turns, it's also turning this one, and on this engine it's the next wheel, it's turning that one as well. So what fine was to stop that fire, get the steam pressure up to 225, but you would also have to keep an eye on the level of water in the boiler. So how does he see that? Well, that's what these 2 glass gauges are for. So they connect through pipes into the boiler, and when you open up the valve, that lets water into the glass there. So if it's up there, it's fine, but as the train's moving and using more water, you'll see it slowly drop down. You wouldn't want to get lower than that, otherwise you would be running out of steam and water. Because it's not just the steam to power the wheels to make the train work. Everything uses steam pressure to make it work. So if the water's down there, the boiler needs topping up. That's when you would turn these valves on. They send steam down these 2 big pipes. That one goes down under the floor, underneath there. This one goes down under the floor, just underneath there. And they work what's called a steam injector mechanism, which uses the steam pressure that's going down to pump some of that water from the water tank back along pipes under the floor. You go a bit further forward and then up and into the top of the boiler to top the water level and back up again. So that's the fireman's job. Over here, these are all the driver's controls. Most of them, more or less what you've got in a car. Just think here, when we get the little children on, well, you can sit on the driver's seat. I mean, either of you know, sit on the driver's seat if you want to, but and drive the engine, and they think, oh, that's a steering wheel there, isn't it? But no, it's the equivalent of your gearbox on a car, unless you go automatic or electric one, of course. But yeah, so that's in neutral there at the minute. But like to get the car started, you would put it into first gear. So you would wind that all the way clockwise, and that pushes a metal rod forwards to, it's not just the one piston, there are actually, if you have another look at this side, there's actually two pistons at the front of the engine. The big one at the bottom, that's that one that connects to the wheels to drive them. But above it is another piston, which is what lets the air, the steam, down into the driving piston to move it. So, like I said, that pushes the rod forward. And what that does, that makes the steam inlet valve move the maximum distance to let the maximum amount of steam in, just to get the train started. And on a car, you would change it to second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. Yeah, you just wind the handle back again. That pulls the rod back, so it's shortening the distance that that valve moves, so that you're not wasting quite as much of the steam pressure to keep the train going. Once it's moving, then yeah, you don't need quite as much steam. And if you do need to go into reverse, then just wind it all the way anti-clockwise, and that changes, that pulls that back over, and that sort of changes how that valve is moving, so that it goes backwards. Yeah. So right, it's actually called the reverser mechanism. An engine like this would spend more time going forwards, but yeah, so that's the equivalent of the gearbox. This one, your accelerator pedal on the car, the more the driver pulls on that, what it's doing there is, on this picture, there's the little handle, this big one, but it then turns this rod, it goes all the way forward to where the steam dome is, and that opens the valve, which lets the steam down to the steam inlet valve and to drive the pistons as well. So yeah, so pulls it all the way up. Right, that's fully open. So that's letting the maximum amount of steam down to make the train go as fast as it can. Then you would just sort of slow it down, like you take your foot off the accelerator pedal. Right, so accelerator, gearbox, brakes. Now, on this engine, this one lever did two things. The engine itself has steam powered brakes, so we'll pull that on, but it's only stopping the engine and the tender, which you've got, which is 72 tons plus about 50 tons there. You've got a few hundred tons of carriages or trucks behind you. Now they have to have brakes as well, but they don't use steam powered brakes, they use vacuum powered brakes. So the carriages and trucks are all connected together with pipes the full length of the train, and to create the vacuum you turn this valve on, whereas these work what they call the steam injector mechanism. It pumps water into the boiler. Steam injector valve uses steam pressure to draw the air out of that pipe. So on the rest of the train you've got the wheels, and when it's stopped there's brake shoes clamped on. When the train stopped by creating the vacuum, that draws the brake shoes off the wheels to let the train move. So when you come to put the brakes on, you don't want to just put the engine's brakes on, because all the weight of them, it would all come sort of bang, 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 and push the engine a little bit further forward. So it starts in the shape of this to open up the valve in the middle, which lets air through those little holes into that vacuum pipe. That ruins the vacuum, so the brakes start coming on the rest of the train just to slow that. But then just a little bit later, a few seconds later, it's opening up this valve as well, which is what lets the steam down to put the engine's brakes on. So you get a nice smooth braking system there. So that is idiot how a car works. Steam engine works more or less the same. There's other little things though that in the winter on the road, say snow and ice, you get the big yellow grit lorries out on the road, spraying the grit on to stop the cars and buses and lorries skidding all over the place. The engine has its own, well, gritting system. It has boxes of sand along the side, which let sand down pipes. So maybe one up here goes down, and the pipe goes just to where this wheel touches the track. The end of the one there goes down to where this wheel touches the track. But by turning that on, that sends steam down. So there's the big pipe with the sand in going down from the sandbox, and there's a smaller pipe with that one there that goes alongside it, and they meet up just where the wheel touches the track. By turning on that sends steam down, and that blows the sand under the wheels just to give it that bit of grip. It needs the grip for two reasons. That when you're starting the train off, you've got steel wheels on a metal track, so if it's wet, icy, or it's got the dreaded wet leaves on the line, what would happen then would be the wheel would start turning, but it wouldn't get enough grip to move the train. So yes, that's when you would use a bit of sand to do that. Or when you put brakes on, the driver would sort of, from his experience, you would realise, oh, this isn't slowing down fast enough. So yes, you'd turn that on again, just to give a bit more sand to give it that extra grip, just to slow the train down a bit faster. Yeah, so well, yes, in the winter, yeah, you would use that. You would also use, if you're pulling a passenger train, you would use this little valve. And what happens there is that if it's pulling a passenger train, all the carriages under the seats at either side, there's a little radiator underneath. So it's sending the hot steam down this pipe here, and that connects through all the carriages and sends the hot steam up to put their little radiators on. But you wouldn't want to waste your £225 a square inch of steam pressure, because most of that's meant for driving the train. That one, the heating is limited to just £50 a square inch to keep them warm, but not waste.
So it's a kind of a thermometer. What's
well,
that?
It's just the steam pressure.
Pressure, okay.
So that's like 200, so that's nearly like a quarter of the steam pressure you can use up on the radiators. Yeah, and in the carriages there used to be like a little lever that you could turn, or a little like handle thing where you could turn just to see how warm you wanted it to be.
Word of advice though, never sit in the back seats of a steam engine. By then all that steam is to condense back to water, so it's cold.
Yeah, but when we talked about the sanding mechanism, it's not just steam engines, electric engine there. And if you look at each end of each bogie, there's like, you can see there's like a little box, looks like a house. It's got a sloping roof and the window in the loft. That's what you would lift up, and that's fill the sand up there. But just underneath it, you can see a pipe go down and under the wheels, because it's a two-wheel bogie, two-axle bogie. So that one would send the sand down to the one wheel behind that round DR marks thing, and the one at the front would be the other one, and then the bogie at the back 2 more sandboxes, but we'd let the sand down. But the electric engine, diesel engines, Deltic has them, and it's the one just to the other side of Deltic, the D200, it's got them as well.
That's good.
Yeah.